Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reacts where today we have ourselves a track from an act named the.flyingSAM titled Stronger Than You Know. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen now. From what I understand this is their first release. Apparently they released in April this month the EP Stronger Than You Know, which was a creative collaboration with LA-based Ukrainian pop soul singer Olivia Graham and Nigerian heartbeat gospel choir led by Tayo Olawepo. So there's a team effort, there's a few people involved, and we're going to listen through this track from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. And just before we get into it, to confirm, the EP contains 3 different versions of this song, Stronger Than You Know, and this is the emotional version. So let's go, let's do it.
I'm trying to understand it, but I just can't. Whatever.
Hey Melly, I see your tears. Your world feels like it's ending, but I promise brighter years are just around the bending. You've been through stormy days with shadows that won't let go.
Great bluesy intonation there.
But sunshine finds its way to light up where you sound. You're stronger than you know.
Great use of the choir there.
I'll be right here to show. Together we can grow. The nights will fade to morning. Your heart will dance again. Hold on through the storm. Turn sadness into zen.
Beautiful resolution there.
Remember all those nights we laughed until the dawn. Those dreams are still inside. Spirit's never gone. You're stronger than you know. When you feel alone, I'll be right here to show. Together we can grow. The nights will fade to morning. Your heart will dance again. Hold on through the storm. Please turn sadness into zen.
Oh, minor leaning there. Oh, and that's the end of it. Crazy. Great use of that real estate with 3 minutes. Samuel Schultz, lyrics, composition, and production. Urig, Melink, Olivia Graham, USA, Tayo Olawepo and the Heartbeat Choir, Tayo Olawepo. Emotional voiceover, mastering. So that was a separate person that did the voiceover at the start, I think. A friend knows the song in my heart and sings it to me when my memory fails. It's a beautiful saying. And that was the.flyingSAM. Okay, so we've heard this track, we've listened through it, and we're going to talk about this more in a moment. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named the.flyingSAM titled Stronger Than You Know. Now, first of all, what do we think this track's about? I think it's about someone who is reminding another that, they've gone through difficulties and they're having a really sad time and things are storming at the moment, but eventually we will prevail. We will come out of that nightmare. The sun will rise the next day. Things will improve and it'll get better. And so it's just kind of weathering it until that point and being supportive, caring, and loving in the meantime. I think the vocals carry that well. The choir sounded gorgeous. I love the warmth, the glow of the tone of that, the softness, and the triad choice there with those harmonies was great. But I mean, Olia on the main mic was just phenomenal. I mean, it's just such solid vocal technique as the main lead. Some of those tails that we had, those interesting call and responses in the upper range were pretty cool as well. And I think we had a great characterization of the mood we wanted to sort of attest to within the piece, whilst allowing, again, room for the backing choir to breathe. It was great to have that balance there, to be able to go back and forth and to allow ourselves also to have some moments where we simply allowed the instrumental parts, such as the piano, to be by themselves and have the floor. I think that, yeah, it's just a really capable performance on the mic in general. The track at 3 minutes 36, I feel is structured quite well. We have different verses and choruses and different turns and unpredictable amounts of bars for certain sections there. It's not an even 4 bars for each of the components of certain, like the chorus, for example. I think we had 3 and then we had 4 or something like that. And so it almost had to kind of almost through composed sentimentality to it, almost like this is a direct conversation we're having with someone. It's not like predisposed and pre-planned and like kind of formulaic. And I kind of dig that, even though I will attest to the fact that I think the first half of the chorus is a very common chord progression. It's just that we are changing things up and sort of more, I think, focusing the backing arrangements, the chords around that to suit the mood of the piece. And I think that overall the major leaning was very appropriate. I think the balladesque kind of format of the keys with the root and then like boom, 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 like the upper notes and then the root going backwards and forwards for a lot of the piano parts was great there. Fantastic articulation on the right side without being too much. I think the orchestral drums that we had a bit later on coming in provide a sense of pace and almost like an orchestral cinematic feel to it, almost like it was larger than life. And we had the sound of Foley like with the storms as well, which is really cool. I like the fact that we made it kind of relate directly to what was being said. It added a great sense of chemistry and connection there. And like there's a nice bass response when after the hook line, you're stronger than you know, which is a great point of focus there. It sounds like a major label release there, which it is a compliment. I really can't fault it. It reminds me a lot of the World's Greatest Showman, that kind of music from that era in the late 2010s. But I dig it. I like the intent and the way that it's done in a way that is classy, not overdone. The strings coming in later on elicit a sense of intensity with the emotion of it, working with the certain notes of the triads or chords that were apparent, but also at the same time, not over-egging it. And I think that in general, the fact that we continued to add instruments as we went through the track was fantastic, as it meant we didn't get everything at once, and it wasn't too overwhelming, and it showed a clear understanding that we needed to not show our hand at once. There needed to be more as we went through, because again, even though it's in that 2 to 4 minute sweet spot, you can't take the listener's attention for granted. You've got to keep showing them new things while still remaining a sense of connection to the initial. I mean, like the track continues to build in regards to the overall intensity, additional layers there, exploring the frequency spectrum from a compositional perspective. Ultimately, just really well written. I like the sense of like positivity of the overall piece of it, with the major leaning a lot of the time. There is some minor parts because of the story that we're telling, but the message itself is meant to be a happy one, so and kind of uplifting. And I feel that it genuinely meets that criteria. Often I get a lot of tracks thrown there like, this is an uplifting track, and it's like, I shall be the judge of that. But no, it is. It does make you feel good after listening to it. Again, the way where it doesn't feel disingenuous or forced. I just want to sort of give a shout out to the fact that into the track with the credits where we had the guitar parts being strummed there, I thought it was fantastic. Just have a bit more sort of like a low-key alternate version of it, simply to showcase the initial motif, but also to kind of more certain acoustic manner. The credits being shown. So I think thematically, again, as I mentioned, it was minor leaning at times, but with a major ending and a resolution there. And it typically tried to be a happier song through a lack of trying to overcomplicate the note choices within the backing instrumentalist. Like there were some bluesy components within the vocal melodies, which made sense considering the subject matter. But I liked that we resonated with those upper triads. And I just think that the chord choice, the mood, the main vocal melodies were catchy and memorable, whilst also expression-wise making sense with what was going on lyrically. And I just feel like the instrumental choices combined with that made for a really cohesive track with no real weak points. I just think it's very strong in a general sense. It's a fantastic first impression. I think it's testament to the skill of everyone else involved. I think it was little things like the voiceover at the start from Maya Clark, where, you know, you hear someone else's perspective there. And it makes sense that Olia, the vocalist from the main part, wouldn't have said that part. So I'm glad that we had additional voices in there to kind of be the different people within it. And I have to show some love to Simos Papadopoulos, if I'm not mispronouncing his name, for the studio production within this as well. I feel like the vocals were recorded very neatly. It was a professional grade performance there. I think in addition to that, the way that things were handled within the mixing and mastering of the bass components, the drums, the orchestral drums, like the piano parts, the strings, even the guitars at the end, it was commercial grade. The music surrounded you in headphones. When you had the vocal, backing chorus vocals, they split around side, which was fantastic, had a great sense of scope to them. And the limiting and effects change were handled well without oversaturating it. Ultimately, it had dynamic range as well. The music could breathe. Just a really well-produced track. And so I suppose this is just a really positive first impression to the Flying Sam's music with this track, Stronger Than You Know, off of the self-titled, or not self-titled, the EP, Stronger Than You Know. And hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via their various social medias and their YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever. Thought of crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next SP Reacts. Spiderhands out.